I receive death threats. I have a guy who sends me a message saying, I saw you outside your apartment, names my building and says, I'm going to gang rape you, your sister, your mother, describes various positions. And a lot of people who give these death threats on Twitter, guess what does their Twitter bio read? Followed by the Prime Minister of India.
Rana, I want to turn to you because women journalists face particular threats. You yourself have been a target. Your colleague and friend Gauri Lankesh was killed in 2017. Online threats have also become a big part of this. One report that's been mentioned several times today is the UNESCO Commission, the report that was conducted by the International Center for Journalists, which showed that 73% of those surveyed, of women journalists who were surveyed, said that they've experienced online violence, and 20% of those said that this online violence, this abuse also spilled offline. So can you talk about this and also share your personal experience?
Absolutely, Hoda. I think the ICFJ study along with UNESCO said that I am attacked every 19 seconds on the internet. Right? Every 19 seconds there's a death threat, a rape threat, and that Jose was pointing out, there's a playbook that all dictators adopt. One is to discredit you online, and second, earlier they used to file, defamation cases, war against nation. Then they realized those charges don't stick. So let's do tax evasion, money laundering, corruption, right? Those charges, if you see, it's a pattern globally because these charges kind of, you point a seed of suspicion in people's mind. You spoke about Gauri Lankesh. Gauri Lankesh was an Indian journalist who was routinely writing about Hindu nationalists. In the year 2017, she translated my book in a regional language in Kannada. And a day before her assassination, I was facing online harassment significantly. I was trending on Twitter, and she called me and she messaged me saying, babe, they are paper tigers, they're nincompoops, don't even bother, right? And look forward to our book launch. And the next day, I'm sitting at a coffee shop and I hear that Gauri Lankesh has been shot dead outside her house. Gauri had been ignoring these threats which were coming to her routinely, thinking that these people, online does not spill over offline. I go and file complaints routinely to the Mumbai police, the city where I live, and the cops look at me and say, but ma'am, it was online, right? It's not come to your house. Yeah, burnt copies of my book have been sent to my house. I receive death threats. I have a guy who sends me a message saying, I saw you outside your apartment, names my building and says, I'm going to gang rape you, your sister, your mother, describes various positions. And a lot of people who give these death threats on Twitter, guess what does their Twitter bio read? Followed by the Prime Minister of India. That's how brazen it is. These Hindu nationalists who masquerade as nationalists, right? People who believe that, online harassment is actually a very frivolous thing. Honestly, you have to wake up and realize that there is a campaign out there to smear journalists. Online harassment is about, for instance, last year when the government filed money laundering charges against me, I was trending for 3 full days on Twitter. Con, fraud, thief, media outside my house, cameras placed on my 6-year-old nephew saying, where is Rana Ayyub? Somebody placed a camera opposite my building to get the first view of my living room. That's the reality that we face. When they're not accusing us of corruption or war against nation, they morph your image on a porn video and circulate it all over the country. My image was morphed on a porn video and circulated over the country, and one of the video was shared by a leader of the ruling party. That's what they do. They discredit you. They discredit your character. They discredit your integrity. They discredit everything so that by the time you're arrested, or for that matter even shot dead, the world doesn't really care much. We are the world's largest democracy, but the Prime Minister of India has not taken a single press conference in the last 8 years. Very often journalists are referred to by members of the ruling party and ministers as prostitutes, news traders. At this point of time, clearing the immigration at the airport is the biggest victory of my life. Every time I'm in the immigration queue, I'm like, will I clear immigration this time or not? Because last year, I was stopped 2 times at the airport when I was going to speak at an event on democracy. That's what democracy looks like. That's what threats on journalists look like. And we do not even talk about the mental health aspect of it, right? After we have fought all these cases, when we get back home, do you even have the energy to do your journalism? None of us really need to be brave or courageous to be doing our journalism. Oftentimes we are being called, oh, you're brave and you're courageous. I hate hearing that word completely. I feel like the moment you call us brave and courageous, you put us on a pedestal, assuming that we're not allowed to be human. We're not allowed to be vulnerable. And I really hope the world also understands that people who you put on pedestal, these heroes that you make of us, we are also human beings, and we get affected tremendously by this, and our families get affected tremendously by this.